Good morning, my dear students. Hope all of you are well and welcome to this chemistry class. Today we will start from the discussion of group 17 elements. Last day we have discussed that group 1, that is alkali metals, and group 2, that is the alkaline earth metals. So today we will start from the group 17 elements. They are also called group 7A elements. They are also called halogens. Why they are called halogens? Halo is a Greek word that means is sea salt, and gens means producer or former. Okay, so they are sea salt formers. Okay, if you take some amount of sea water, if you evaporate, it will produce sodium chloride. Okay, if you take the other halogens, if you take that fluorine, iodine, okay, and these non-metals readily react with this alkali metal and metals. Okay, they are forming that salts. Okay, so that is why they are called halogens. Hope you can understand. Now these halogens have 7 electrons, okay, in their outermost shell. The first halogen in this group 17 is fluorine. Fluorine electronic configuration will be 2 K cell containing 2 electrons and L cell containing 7 electrons. So in the outermost cell, in case of fluorine, 7 electrons is there. After fluorine, there is chlorine, then bromine, then iodine, then astatine, then tennessine is there. Tennessine is newly discovered. Okay, so fluorine after chlorine is there. So chlorine will be 2, 8, 7. This is the N cell. Okay, and after chlorine there will be the bromine. Okay, bromine will be 2, then 8, then 8, then 7. This one is the N cell. So in this way, it will be 18. Okay, in this way you have to write their electronic configuration. Okay, in case of iodine, definitely the last electron in the valence shell, there will be 7 electrons. In case of astatine also, there will be also 7 electrons. So these are the elements. They are highly reactive. Okay, because if they accept 1 electron, it will get the nearest noble gas structure. Now these elements, okay, generally if we consider their size in a group, when we are going from top to bottom in a group, their size will increase, because in each case you are adding a new cell. As well as if you think about the reactivity, fluorine has the highest reactivity. Okay, and if you are going down, definitely their reactivity will decrease. Okay, and fluorine is the highly reactive, but iodine, okay, then after bromine there will be iodine, then there will be astatine. Iodine will be the least reactive. Astatine is I think it will be radioactive. Okay, and tennessine is newly discovered. Okay, and if we consider their melting point, boiling point, generally melting point, boiling point will increase down the group. Okay, if you consider that fluorine is a gas, chlorine is also gas, bromine is a liquid, iodine is solid. Okay, so in this way, whenever you are going down, okay, and astatine is radioactive, and here their size increases. Okay, as well as their melting point, boiling point will increase. And these halogens also have different colors. Fluorine will show that fluorine exists as F2, that means fluorine gas. It will show pale yellow color. Okay, chlorine is greenish yellow color, bromine is reddish brown color. Okay, actually bromine is reddish brown liquid, iodine is greyish solid. So if you look at this fluorine to iodine, so the intensity of the color, okay, increases. It is pale, then it is greenish yellow, then it is red, then it is whenever you are taking that iodine vapor, it will be violet, so color is intensified. Okay, but solid iodine will be grey in color. Hope you can understand what I am telling you. Next, these halogens are all poisonous. Okay, and they are also carcinogenic, and they have very strong pungent smell. Okay, and having unpleasant odor, and they generally form the diatomic molecule. Okay, fluorine is forming F2, chlorine is forming Cl2, bromine is forming Br2, like this. Okay, and in between these two atoms there will be covalent bond, there will be several sharing of electron. Okay, they are forming covalent bonds. Okay, and these halogens, okay, they have valency 1, because if they will accept 1 electron or they will share 1 electron with other, then it can complete its octet. Okay, you can think about the formation of bond with hydrogen. So fluorine will form HF, this is an acid, this is called hydrofluoric acid. Then chlorine will form HCl, hydrochloric acid, then hydrobromic acid, then hydroiodic acid. So all are covalent compounds. But if you dissolve this HF or HCl in water, they will dissociate, okay, better you tell ionized, okay, to H plus Cl minus, okay, and then it becomes in solution, it will be ionic compound. Hope you can understand what I am telling. Okay, so these halogens always react with metal, okay, because highly reactive, they are forming salt, okay, they are as metal halides. Next we can tell that these non-metals, okay, that means fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, fluorine will accept one electron and forming F minus. Similar way, chlorine will accept one electron forming Cl minus, and bromine will also accept one electron, okay, forming Br minus. So these are called halides: fluoride, chloride, bromide, iodide, okay. So in this way they will accept one electron and get the nearest gas noble structure. In sodium chloride, Cl minus is present, okay. In sodium bromide, Br minus is present, okay. So these are called halides. So in this way we have completed that group 17 elements. Very short discussion is there, we will not go in details, okay. Later when we will read in class 12, again class 12, this group 7 element discussion is there, then we will discuss in details, okay. Next, another group discussion is there in your syllabus, that is called zero group or group 18. They are called group 18 elements. They are also called zero group. They are also called inert gas. They are also called noble gases. So one by one we will discuss. First, in this group, okay, the elements name will be helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, radon. Already you know. And during Mendeleev's time, okay, noble gases were not discovered. Okay, that is why Mendeleev did not give any place. Okay, that time he added no extra group, that zero group, okay, in his periodic table. Later, helium was first detected by the spectroscopy of the light coming from the sun during an eclipse, okay, and the other noble gases were isolated later. Actually, in sun, hydrogens are combining, okay, there is nuclear fusion reaction and forming helium, huge amount of energy is generating. So from that light, definitely from the spectra you will get you can easily identify that helium, okay. Later, Sir William Ramsay isolated all these noble gases, maximum noble gases, and he received or awarded by the Nobel Prize, okay. As these gases, electronic configuration is very stable. All cases like helium, it's duplet, okay, that means its outermost shell containing 2 electrons, and other like neon, argon, krypton, xenon, outermost shell containing 8 electrons. So their octet is filled up. So their electronic configuration is highly stable, and so they do not generally react, okay, with the other elements in general condition, what I am telling, okay. So that is why they are called inert gas, okay. And why they are called zero group? Because they are not combining with other elements and their outermost shell is already filled up. That is why their valency is zero, okay. That is why they are called zero group. Later scientists discovered that in drastic condition, that means at high temperature and pressure, that xenon has compounds, kryptons can form compound, okay. These xenon kryptons compounds were prepared, and then the name was changed from the inert gas. Now we are telling it as noble gases, okay. Now what are the electronic configuration of these compounds? Suppose helium in K cell there will be only 2 electrons. Then neon K cell containing 2 electrons, and then L cell containing 8 electrons. Then helium, neon, argon then 2 and 8, and in N cell there will be 8 electrons, okay. Then after argon there will be krypton. In krypton definitely there will be 2 electrons in this K cell, and in L cell there will be 8 electrons, and in M cell there will be 18 electrons, and N cell there. So what we are observing, N cell 8 electrons, what we are observing, the outermost cell containing 8 electrons, okay. So that is why their electronic configuration is very stable, and these elements are also very much stable. They generally remain as monoatomic, okay, gases, okay, and their electronic arrangement, okay, because of this electronic arrangement they are called unreactive, okay, or they are called inert gas. So all gases like helium, neon, argon, krypton, xenon, radon, these are colorless. These are colorless. Okay. So what I am telling that this helium, then there is neon, then there is argon, then there is krypton, then there is xenon, then there is radon. Okay, and this radon actually it is not stable. Helium we are finding in very small amount in the atmosphere. It will be less than, I think, 1%, and others we found very traces. Okay, and radon, it is not, it is intermediate, it is forming. Okay, we are not getting this thing. And these noble gases, okay, their duplet and octet is already filled up. And these noble gases, if you want to liquefy, you cannot liquefy easily because there is no attraction force. Okay, so here you have to give huge amount of temperature and you have to apply high pressure. Okay, then you can liquefy these noble gases. Okay, and these gases emit color. Okay, when they are kept in the electric discharge tube. Okay, and definitely in the electric discharge tube these gases will be present. Next we will discuss what gas will give what type of color, and if we consider their melting point and boiling point, definitely their melting point, boiling point will be extremely low compared to the others. Now what are the uses? Helium gas we are using in the airship because of its lighter weight. Okay, and helium gas, and it is non reactive. Okay, like if we use hydrogen gas, there may be chance of explosion, but in case of helium gas there will be no chance of explosion. Hope you can understand what I am telling. Next we can tell that argon gas. Argon gas can be used in electric bulbs. Okay, their tungsten is there and we are heating this tungsten by electrical circuit. Okay, and it will not form oxide. Okay, in the inert atmosphere there will be no oxygen, only argon gas will be there. And sometimes neon we are using for the illumination purpose. Okay, all of you know that neon lights, so neon signs are used for the advertisement. Neon gas gives a very beautiful orange red color. Okay, or orange red light when an electric spark is passed through it. Okay, at higher voltage. And if neon gas is mixed with a little mercury vapor, then it will give a blue light. And if you take some argon gas and mixed with a little mercury vapor, okay, in the discharge tube, definitely it will give a very beautiful color, that you will get some green color. So in this way, these noble gases, that means these gases, that helium, neon, argon, krypton, they are showing different colors. Krypton works better, okay, than argon in the electric bulb. So you can use krypton gas also inside the bulb. Okay, and it gives a green color or lilac color in the discharge tube. That means what I am telling about krypton. And xenon gives a blue or green light in discharge tubes. Okay. Next we will discuss that position of the these noble gases. Okay. Actually, noble gas is placed after the halogens, and after noble gas there is group 1, that means alkali metals. Okay, now you see that halogens have one electron less. Okay, the outermost electronic configuration of this noble gas, so they are highly reactive. If they accept one electron, okay, then they will become stable. So that is why they are highly reactive. And noble gas, we know that they are inert, and after noble gas there is alkali metal. If the alkali metal loses one electron, definitely they will become very much stable. That is why alkali metals are highly reactive. Hope you can understand what I am telling. So in this way we have completed the discussion of this zero group. Okay, and very little discussion is there. Okay, that is in your syllabus. And next we will discuss that the application, or we can tell about the use of periodic table. Why we are using periodic table? Why periodic table is required? This type of questions may come in your exam. First one, you can tell that periodic table helps us to discover the new elements. Okay. Actually, Mendeleev gave some places. Okay. And later this Eka aluminum, Eka silicon discovered. Later, after Mendeleev, when we gave that modern periodic table, we discovered the modern periodic table, or we prepared the modern periodic. There was many places. Okay. That was left, okay, just few years ago, okay, we discovered the elements like tennessine, like agnesine, okay. So these things are discovered, these elements are discovered, okay, ognosine, tennessine, okay, these are discovered, Neurial livermorium, okay. So this type of elements we have discovered. So this is one use or application of the periodic table. Next, we can tell this periodic table also help in the correction of different things like position, okay, and the relation of the properties of the elements. So in Mendeleev periodic table there was many elements, okay, and where position was not okay. That means we are telling that potassium and argon, okay, but when we get this modern periodic table, then we arrange these elements according to their electronic configuration, okay, and the position of this potassium and argon, now it is justified. Hope you can understand what I am telling. And from this periodic table we can tell about the atomic number, electronic configuration, number of valence shell electron, and the physical and chemical properties of the different types of elements from this periodic table, okay. We can easily predict, okay. And next we can tell that from this periodic table we can predict the nature of the chemical bond, okay, whether it will be covalent or it will be ionic, okay, and what will be the formula of the compound. From periodic table we are getting the valencies, okay, of the elements and properties of that compound, what type of property will be there. And from periodic table we can also tell that whether the element is metal or it will be transition metal, or it is a non-metal, or it will be the actinides or lanthanides, or they are metalloids, okay, everything we can tell. And finally we can tell that study of elements and their compounds has become more systematic after discovery of this modern periodic table or long form of the periodic table, okay. And now it is very easier to remember these things, that means their properties and the data what we are getting from this periodic table. So in this way, today I have completed your this chapter, that means periodic table, and from next class we will discuss different types of questions that may come in your exam, okay. Again I am telling that 40 to 50% questions, if you practice the exercise, okay, that will come, and others you have to practice the or you have to read the chapter thoroughly. So inside of the book questions also may come. So today up to this, thank you.